Sellbot HQ. This is a place where toons go to train, they get their Sellbot suit parts, or they group up to fight the VP. This is the place where it all starts. Leading up to this point, there wasn't much complexity to what you needed to do to survive, but this is where it all changes. This is a place where one can pick up good habits that'll help them in the long run, and as such, this video will be longer to go more in depth on them. Welcome back to another episode of the One Laff Guide, and today we'll be tackling Sellbot HQ. The factory. This is the place where you get your Sellbot suit parts, or to get scared when we get pushed through a door. This place is generally not that hard to get through, but I would recommend having at least level 5 or 6 gags before entering this place. Otherwise you won't be contributing much if you had any lower level. If your group has high level sound, a strategy I would recommend doing is having 1 lore and then 3 sound. The main reason we do the lore is so if the lore hits, the sound is guaranteed to hit. But if the lore misses, sound still has a high enough accuracy to where it would be rare for both gags to miss. If your team does not have sound, then you'll have to rely on lore, but there are a few ways that you can increase lore accuracy. So, let's start discussing how you can make your lore hit more. There are several ways to increase your lore accuracy through stunts. The first one I would try to go for is to use a trap gag, as if you use a trap gag, you take out a cog and you increase the accuracy of your lore. Another gag that acts as a lore stun is tune-up. Even if all the toons in battle are tuned up fully, if you use a tune-up gag, it acts the same way as trap, where it stuns the cogs for lore accuracy. If you don't have access to those gags, then you can use an SOS card. It doesn't matter which SOS card, but I would recommend getting Rain's. As Rain is the easiest SOS card to get in Toontown Central, you can go with a friend, and with that, you'll have pretty much a good supply of them to use whenever you need a stun, and you get the extra damage that carries over for the next rounds. Finally, the last option that you can do as a lore stun is use a doodle. Keep in mind though, when you use a doodle, the trick has to land in order for it to count as a stun. If it misses, it does nothing. So I would recommend maxing the move Jump, as Jump has the highest accuracy when you max it, meaning that you have more opportunities for a lore stun if all other options are void to you. The next big obstacle that one will have to face if you're going through a long factory is Stomper Alley. Stomper Alley actually has a simple trick to get through it. Simply walk under the Stomper and accept your death. You walk under the Stomper, and then as it's falling, you jump. While you are jumping, you will go through the Stomper and you'll be on top of it. After that, just go slowly Stomper the Stomper and jump across to the other side. That's it. All that's left to talk about is just the fights in the factory. And really, the fights in the factory are no different than if you were to go through a very long building. The only fight that's different though is the Foreman. The Foreman has a whopping 234 health, and he has a cheat. His cheat is that if you kill another cog in battle, he will unlore and power himself up. So you want to make sure you kill him first, otherwise you're just getting yourself killed. And that's everything there is to the factory. Overall, it shouldn't be too hard to get used to the Stomper trick or learning how to use lore stunts, but it's definitely going to help with our next section, the Vice President himself. The VP. This boss is the easiest out of the 4 bosses, and this is the perfect place to practice and learn some new habits. These habits will help you in future bosses as you refine them and get better at them. So, let's begin. One thing I always recommend doing, no matter what kind of fight you go into, is to check what kind of gags your team has. As, let's say you want to start off with a sound and drop combo. Well, you want to check to see which tunes have sound, which tunes have drop, and if you don't have enough firepower, then you need to switch up the strategy to maybe lure, to maybe zap squirt. Basically, you want to improvise with your team's gags, which is why I call it Gag Improv. If you get good at Gag Improv, it will help you a lot in the future bosses, as cogs will have higher levels and they'll have more health. That means that you can't take them out in one hit without doing some strategy. So knowing what your team can and cannot do will help make you choose the right decisions in battle. As a one Laff Uber, people usually get worried about their gag choices as they don't want to get you killed. As such, they end up wasting a lot of time they could be using on thinking, and then they have 10 seconds left to pick a gag and then they panic pick, which ends up getting you killed anyway. This is when you need to step in as the shot caller. You need to act as a guide to your team on what kind of combos they can do with the gags that they have. But if a teammate suggests a different combo that still works, let them do it. It can probably save you gags that you probably didn't think of. Gag Conservation is an important skill to master, as it will help you in the long run when you get into the harder bosses like the CLO or the CEO, when you deal with harder cogs that take more hits to kill. The VP is the best place to practice Gag Conservation, as you can save fogs or trunks that will help you kill higher level cogs in the future. This is where math is crucial, as it can allow you to shave off a trunk or a fog every combo because you overestimate. With practice, it is one of the best things to know. What do I mean by increase and limit combos? Well, it goes like this. Basically, you want to make sure every single gag works together. So let's say you have 3 people sounding and 1 person dropping. Well, if the person dropping can sound, it'd be better off, because instead of giving the cogs 2 opportunities to dodge, they only have 1. Meaning that if the sound were to hit, you're guaranteed that it will kill every single cog, rather than having 1 cog alive because the person wanted to drop. This is where limiting your rolls is important. Where increasing your rolls is important is when, let's say you have 1 cog left. If you have like a level 5, and you have 4 people who can kill it all in 1 hit, have them all kill the cog with different gags. So one person uses a hose, one uses a green pie, one uses a Tesla coil, and another uses a drop. The cog would need to dodge all 4 gags in order to live their round and have an opportunity to attack. This is where increasing and limiting rolls works best. What I mean by give up the round is basically this. If you have all of the cogs lured and you can't come up with a good strategy with your team to effectively kill the cogs, it is better off to let the round fly and lose a little bit of lore decay rather than have a botched combo where a cog can attack and possibly kill you. It's better off just to give yourself more time, even if it comes at a slight risk of lore decay. It's much better to have a chance of dying rather than guaranteed because you messed up. And that's all the habits I recommend getting into. A cog fight for the VP really is not that different from a factory besides just higher levels. So just try to make sure to keep in mind that depending on the tier you're VP, you can be facing up to a level 13 on the first round. So just make sure you're prepared for that. The final round of the VP is where your movement skills would be put to the test. You'll need to time your jumps, dodge gears, and throw your pies. This round will help develop your movement skills that are essential to learn for future bosses, especially the CLO and the CEO, where you need to be quick and fast on your feet. This is where you can develop some movement skill habits too. Just make sure you don't run into them. The first tip I would recommend is to rebind your control. You want to try to make your playing experience as comfortable as possible to where you can make your movements as precise as you can make it. So if you need to rebind it from arrow keys to like WASD and space, do it, because it will make you survive VPs and really any other boss battle a lot easier. What you should do is you should try your best to not take your eyes off of the boss. So let's say you're in a VP and you ran out of pie, so you need to go back to get more. Well, if you see that the VP is doing a gear throw at someone, that means that he is not going to do a VP jump for at least 2 seconds. So that gives you 2 seconds that you can quickly turn around and sprint up the ramp. If you count 2 seconds and you're not up the ramp, quickly look back at the VP and walk backwards going towards the cage. If he jumps, you jump. That way you are aware of what he's doing at all times and you can switch back and forth between running and walking backwards. Positioning is also a vital part of any boss battle, as depending where you are, you're more or less likely to be attacked by the boss. When it comes to the VP, the best place to be is kind of at a mid-range, where you're close enough to where he can attack you, but you're also far enough away to where you can react to whatever attack is coming your way, and the VP does not jump. Because if you're far enough away, he'll be forced to do jump, and you want to minimize those. When it comes to stunning the VP, my favorite place to be is whenever he's far back down the first ramp and about to go down the second ramp. You can do a stun from afar with a angled pie. With that, you can hit the hatch from the front while the others get the back. You can also do a close back stun, but you need advanced movement to make sure you can dodge his attacks, so I would not recommend it to those who are still trying to learn the movement. And, well, that's it. That's the entirety of Sellbot HQ. I know there's a lot of information in this video, but I wanted to try to cover all my bases when it came to what I wanted to show and what I wanted to teach. So, if you need to go back and review a little bit, the timestamps are in the description below. That way you can go look at all the tips or all the sections of the video. Sellbot HQ is the best place to refine lots of these habits and tactics. I'd say this should be the time where you experiment with what you can and cannot do. While you may not have your max gags, so you can't experiment with level 8s yet, you can definitely start laying the foundation for when you get there. Thank you Aaron, otherwise known as Megasnoop, for letting me use the clips on the stream. He's amazing, he's in the description below. Make sure to tell him to feed Noah, and yeah, I stream every weekend on Twitch. If you enjoyed the video and want to see more of me, you can come there. Hope you all have a wonderful day. Bye!